Azul DevRel Espresso, brewed for Java minds.
Hey, welcome to the next session, which is about SBOMs, which means Software Bill of Materials. So my name is Gerrit Grunwald, I'm working for Azul, and today we talk about SBOMs. And to be honest, I stumbled upon that word and I had no idea what it means. So I thought maybe I will do a quick overview about what it is and how you can use it in Java, for example. So yeah, first question, what is it? Well, it's pretty simple. It's a list of software components, right, that is used in your application. That's more or less it, right, including third-party libraries, vendor-provided packages, and also first-party artifacts. And it's created next to your application. So you have your application, and with it, you deploy the SBOM files. And you see, this is a little diagram that I found, and it shows more or less what you can expect be part of an SBOM, right? Like libraries, software components name, author name, supplier name, licenses, version string, open source components, compliance requirements, and dependencies. And so you see, it contains a lot of information, which is quite useful, right? So you might ask yourself, okay, but why? So what's the reason for having an SBOM, right? So I don't get it. So yeah, okay. So you create some transparency about what your application contains, right? What it comes with. And this can help, for example, to check for vulnerabilities, because if you directly deliver the information of, okay, I'm using this library with this version number, then a security scanner can very easily check if there are vulnerabilities in these kind of libraries, right, with that version. It also makes it easier to check for license policies, right? So if you directly define, I'm coming with the license XYZ and I use the library with the license whatever, then you can check in your compliance department if this is okay or not to use, right? So it helps with asset management and procurement systems. So it's quite useful. So and we have different formats here. So it's not only that there is one SBOM, but there are, of course, multiple different formats. And we start with one which is quite popular, which is Cyclone DX. And that's a format. And then there's SPDX, which is Software Package Data Exchange. And there's a third one, which is called SWID or SWID, which means Software Identification. And this is not really an SBOM, but you can use it as an SBOM. But I won't go into detail on that one. And it's most of the times people talk about SWID tags, right? And you can use such a tag as an SBOM. So it is possible, and I didn't really find anything useful to show you that combination with Java. So if we start a look at Cyclone DX, then it's a format that comes from the OWASP Foundation, which is an open world application security project. And it's designed for application security and supply chain component analysis. So it's all about software supply chain, the whole SBOM thing. And it provides an inventory of all first and third party software components that you deliver with your code. It also supports SASBOM, KBOM, and MLBOM, which are different formats, or let's say kind of bills of materials, right? And this is a typical JSON format of an SBOM report in JSON from Cyclone DX. You see it contains the schema, the version of the spec, the serial number, and so on and so on. And then in the lower part, you see you have the component, right? In different components, right? So and now you get information about all these different components that you have in your application. Well, that's quite useful, right? And then there's the other format, which is called SPDX. And this is from the Linux Foundation. It's a collaborative project and provides open standard. It's an accepted standard like Cyclone DX for communication SBOMs, right? And it recognizes it as international standard for security, license compliance, and other supply chain artifacts. As ISO, you see the number here. So both of these formats, Cyclone DX and SPDX, are used and accepted formats for SBOM in the industry. Also the SWID, but like I said, this is not a specific SBOM format. And very much the same as the Cyclone DX, you have JSON. Both formats are also available in XML or JSON, depends what you prefer. And So you could deliver both of them, right? So you can deliver an SPDX as JSON and XML with your software. You see, it's very much the same as the other one. It has different fields, but the information in these files is pretty much the same. So and tools can read it out and then use that to do, for example, some compliance test or other stuff. So that leads me to SWID, and I already mentioned this is usually called SWID tags. It's an ISO IEC project, provides information about software lifecycle also, and it works with so-called tags, as already mentioned, right? So for example, patch or corpus, and you can use these tags as SBOM. Like I said already, yeah, you can use it as SBOM. Here's one example in XML that I found. There are many, right? So you have to take a look at it because you can define the text. So you can use it for SBOM, but as I mentioned, I didn't really found a good plugin that you can use in Java, for example, to create SWEIDs. So that means I will only show you how to use CycloneDX and SPDX with Java here, right? So the question is, when should you create these files, right? So that means with every build of your software, you just create the SBOM files. And this could be part of your CI/CD workflow. It's pretty simple. And there are plugins for Maven and Gradle that creates these files for you. So you don't really have to do anything, just add it to your build scripts and it will create these files automatically when you do the CI/CD step. And there are also tools to creating SBOMs from jar files. Like there is a tool called Zift. And I also have an example here where I use Zift because this is more easy because you create just a batch file or a shell script. And then in this shell script, you just create with the Zift tool both of these files separately. Very easy. So if we use CycloneDX, for example, in Java to create an SBOM, then you have a plugin. For Maven, it looks like this. So you embed it, you can define it with a configuration. So that means you can define if you would like to have the BOM serial number in there, compile scope, and so on. So you see there are a couple of switches in the configuration area here. And if you add that to your project, it will create automatically the CycloneDX file when you build it with Maven, right? Pretty simple. You can find it here, the plugin, pretty simple. Just scan it. It's on GitHub. As simple as that. Add it to your build script and you're good to go. In Gradle, very much the same. You see the coordinates, you add it to the plugins area. There is a CycloneDX BOM configuration area where you can do this pretty much the same as you could do in Maven. And then it will create the stuff from Gradle, right? And you can define if it should create JSON or XML. And this is the link for the Gradle plugin, right? It's also on GitHub under CycloneDX, and then you will find both these plugins and you can use it in your code. If you use SPDX, it's pretty much the same, right? So we have a Maven plugin. This is how you add it to your build script and how you can configure it. And there is additional configuration here, so you have to check the documentation because it didn't really fit on the screen and it doesn't really make sense to show you these XML files and talk you through this stuff because it's not very not very complex, right? So to add a simple SBOM, this is all you need, but then you can configure all the stuff that you would like to add to the SBOM. This is the link for the Maven plugin. It's on GitHub and pretty much the same for Gradle. As far as I know, this one is in beta state, so not sure how reliable it is, but I tested it and it worked. And you see it's very much the same. So you can have configurations and you set it up and then it will create it with every build step. So this is the link to the Gradle plugin on GitHub. Yeah, it's not really hard to create an SBOM and it should be good practice to just add it to your build scripts, create an SBOM and deliver it with your application because that really helps other people, especially your customers, to make sure you have no vulnerabilities. And if you have asset management software, then it's way more easier for them to scan and check what you have in your software, right? So if you use Zift instead of the plugins directly, so you have to install it. It's a CLI and Go library. So to create this stuff, so I just tested it on Mac and on Linux. So I didn't really test it on Windows. I have a Windows machine, but yeah, I didn't check it, sorry. So, so I'm not sure if it's available on Windows, probably not. So, and you can just create SBOMs from containers or from file systems. You can also use or choose between CycloneDX or SPDX. And this is what I like about that tool. You can just use the same tool to create both of them. You don't need to add any dependencies to your build scripts or whatever. It comes with a little bit of a drawback. It doesn't really support all the stuff that the other ones do, because Swift can't really get all the information that you can get during the build process, but still it's quite good. If you use Brew, you can just install like brew install Swift, and then you have it on your machine. Yeah, it finds software components that follow specific rules and patterns, right? So it's a little bit of a different approach than we saw with the plugins that you have in Maven and Gradle, but still get some useful SBOM files out of it, right? So like I said, it contains a bit less information than the plugins. And this is how you use it, right? Pretty simple. Swift, point it to your jar file, give it a name, the JSON format in this case, and give it a name, cyclonedx.json, or for example, spdx.json in the lower part. And then it will create the files for you. Pretty simple. You put that in a shell script, and then you call the shell script with every build step, same thing, but you just have it in one place for both formats. So I use that one, but it depends on the requirements, right, of your company. And with this, that's all I need to say about SBOMs. So you see, it's not really a magic, but it really helps the industry. So if you have the chance to do it, just add it to your build scripts or use Swift to create SBOMs and help others. That's it. See you.